Considering you have been in the position of vice president for the past 4 years under the Biden administration, how can we expect you to deviate from the direction of that administration compared to your own? How can we differentiate your policy and your beliefs from that of Biden's?
That's a great question, and thank you. Well, first of all, my administration will not be a continuation of the Biden administration. I bring to this role my own ideas and my own experience. I represent a new generation of leadership on a number of issues and believe that we have to actually take new approaches. For example, what we talked about in terms of housing. My experience that leads to that priority includes what I did to take on the big banks around the foreclosure crisis when I brought billions of dollars to homeowners that were the subject of predatory lending. I know what homeownership means to the American people, not to mention what it meant to my mother, who worked very hard and saved up so that by the time I was a teenager, she was able to buy our first home. I bring to it my experience actually taking care of my mother when she was sick, and it was, as it turned out, dying from cancer. And so I know what it means and have the experience of taking care of an elderly relative, and I have raised children.
Is there something you can point to in your life, political life or in your life in the last 4 years, that you think is a mistake that you have learned from?
I mean, I've made many mistakes. And they range from, you know, if you've ever parented a child, you know you make lots of mistakes, too. In my role as vice president, I mean, I've probably worked very hard at making sure that I am well-versed on issues, and I think that is very important. It's a mistake not to be well-versed on an issue and feel compelled to answer a question.
What?
And so I bring to my priorities and will, as president, a new approach and a new idea, frankly, about what we need to do to deal with the sandwich generation, which is what we call those folks who are literally in the middle, who are raising their young children and taking care of their parents, which is why my plan and approach says, hey, you shouldn't have to wipe out all your savings to qualify for Medicaid to be able to get support to hire somebody to help you cook for your parent or help them put on a sweater. I've done that. I know what that requires. You shouldn't have to quit your job in order to do the work that is necessary to take care of your children and your parent, because it's overwhelming to try to do it all. And so my plan is to have and allow Medicare to cover the cost of home health care for our seniors. These are a couple of examples, including what we talked about in terms of price gouging and what we need to do in addition. And it's a new approach that I think is well overdue. Let's invest in the small businesses of America. The woman who helped raise us was a small business owner. I know who small business owners are. I know what they do. They are the backbone of America's economy. And for too long, we've overlooked their value to the economy as a whole, much less to the economy of neighborhoods and communities. So that's why my plan, and it's a new approach, is about tax cuts for our small businesses so that they can invest in themselves and grow, and in the process, invest in communities, invest in neighborhoods, and strengthen our economy overall. So those are some examples. It's about a new approach, a new generation of leadership based on new ideas and, frankly, different experiences. I bring a whole set of different experiences to this job and the way I think about it than Joe Biden.
Some voters, though, might ask, you've been in the White House for 4 years. You were vice president, not the president. But why wasn't any of that done the last 4 years?
Well, there was a lot that was done, but there's more to do, Anderson. And I'm pointing out things that need to be done, that haven't been done, but need to be done. And I'm not going to shy away from saying, hey, these are still problems that we need to fix.
What the hell does that even mean? You see what happens when you ask her a question that isn't scripted? When she has to deviate from the script, she has this brain fart. She can't answer a simple question. Just word salad. I'm trying to do things that need to be done, and the things that haven't been done, I'm going to do those things because it hasn't been done. Now, this next guy, he's going to ask a solid question, a good question about immigration, and she's not going to answer the question. She's going to give word salad and deflect, blame Trump. That's it.
Regarding the rapid increase in the migrant population, How will you ensure that every immigrant is integrated into American society safely? What benefits and subsidies will you provide them with, and how long will these benefits and subsidies last for an individual? Most importantly, will the American citizens' taxes pay for these benefits and subsidies? And if so, how much money will be allocated?
Well, thank you, Jackson. Let's start with this. America's immigration system is broken and it needs to be fixed. And it's been broken for a long time.
How was the immigration system not broken under Trump and even Obama?
And part of what we need to do is always prioritize what we need to do to strengthen our border. I will tell you, I'm the only person in this race among the two choices that voters have. I've personally prosecuted transnational criminal organizations in the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human beings.
Okay, here we go again with the word salad. Remember, the question is, how much money are we going to spend on these migrants? Because we're spending billions of dollars on illegal people who come over and cross the border. Is there a limit? There's 7-8 billion people in the world. At what point are we going to say, hey, that's enough people? Hey, that's enough money? Okay, we can't pay for all y'all's housing. We can't pay for tuition for everybody. We can't pay for food for everybody. At what point do you stop? The United States is the most wealthiest country in the world, but no country can pay for everybody. It's just not possible. You can't pay for the entire world.
I have spent a significant part of my career making sure that our border is secure and that we do not allow criminals in and we don't allow that kind of trafficking to happen and come into our country.
More than 13,000 illegal immigrants convicted of murder have been caught at the border and then released into the United States.
ICE has something called a non-detained docket. Essentially what that is it means migrants who were encountered by DHS but are no longer in federal custody. So who's on this non-detained docket? It's illegal immigrants who were caught and released at the border, released with the court date years away. They're in immigration proceedings, combined with illegal immigrants who have already been ordered, deported from the country by a judge, but are still here roaming the country. So keep that in mind, this non-detained docket. They're currently tracking 425,000 non-citizens who have been convicted of a crime. Of that number, over 13,000 non-citizens have convictions for homicide and are on the non-detained docket, meaning they're roaming the country right now. On top of that, there are another 15,811 non-citizens convicted of sexual assault who are roaming the country right now on ICE's non-detained docket. It doesn't stop there. Those are convictions. The ICE director also says there are currently just under 1,900 non-citizens on the non-detained docket who have pending homicide charges who are roaming the country, and another 4,250 non-citizens who have pending sexual assault charges who are roaming the country on the non-detained docket. So, and the jaw dropper here too, guys, is all these numbers we just rattled off, they don't even account for the nearly 2 million gotaways who have crossed our border under the Biden administration. Those almost 2 million gotaways, they were never encountered by DHS. They snuck in, they were never caught by Border Patrol, they were never encountered by ICE. There's no record of them, so they have nothing to do with the numbers I just rattled off to you. These are just the numbers of people that ICE has already encountered, that Border Patrol has encountered, that DHS knows who they are. And we just saw those horrible stories in Nantucket the other day. ICE ran a week-long operation in Nantucket, and in a single operation in a 48-hour span, they arrested 2 Salvadoran illegal aliens who came into the country as gotaways and were arrested for child rape on Nantucket. They got a Brazilian guy who was arrested for sexually assaulting a Nantucket resident, and then a Guatemalan guy who was previously deported who was arrested for sexually assaulting a Nantucket resident. So we keep seeing all these headlines about migrant crime popping up in different cities all over the country.
ICE recognizes that some jurisdictions are concerned that cooperating with federal immigration officials will erode trust with immigrant communities and make it harder for law enforcement to serve those populations. However, sanctuary policies can end up shielding dangerous criminals who often victimize those same communities. I mean, that would appear to be, from the acting director of ICE, a tacit acknowledgement here that sanctuary policies are endangering the public.
100%. And I talk to a lot of ICE contacts pretty much every single day, and that is their biggest frustration is all over the country there are these jurisdictions who simply will not cooperate with them, no matter how heinous the crime is. I mean, the Boston ICE office is arresting child rapists and these horrific sexual assaulters, and these local jurisdictions, ICE will put a detainer on them and basically say, hey, please hold them in custody, we'll send our guys and we'll pick them up. That way they don't get back into the community. The locals ignore ICE, ignore their detainers, and just release them back onto the streets, sometimes with a tiny bond, a few $1,000s for a child rape or an aggravated sexual assault. It makes ICE want to pull their hair out. And you did see that in the ICE director's letter. It is a head nod that, hey, we got to deal with a lot of sanctuary jurisdictions who will not cooperate with us for any reason. And when Kamala Harris visits the border today, if she takes any questions, I'm hoping she does, one of the things I'm hoping to ask her is, back in 2019, she campaigned for president as saying she wants to get rid of all ICE detainers, saying they tear families apart. You know, one of the biggest things we hear from ICE is there's this misconception about them that they're kicking in doors of grandmas and little kids and going after people who are just working and here for a better life. The people they're going after right now are the worst of the worst. We're talking serious felons, murderers, sexual assaulters, rapists, that sort of a thing. And when ICE detainers are not honored and these local jurisdictions just release people back out onto the streets without notifying the feds, it's dangerous for everybody involved. It's dangerous for the local community who might have a sex predator back on their streets. It's dangerous for ICE because instead of having someone just handed over to the jail to them in a secure environment, now ICE has to use their resources to develop intel and try to find this guy and find out where he's going to be, and then use 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of their officers to go apprehend this guy who could be violent. Maybe they'll fight back. Maybe they won't want to go back into federal custody. So it's dangerous for everybody involved. In these sanctuary jurisdictions, you know, it's going to come to a point here soon. Donald Trump is vowing to end them. I had a phone call with him the other day. I said, well, how are you going to end them? What are you going to do? And he said, well, if it comes down to it, I'm going to strip federal funding away from sanctuary cities. I said, well, how far are you willing to go with that? Will you pull FEMA disaster money from them? He said, yes, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. We don't know where Kamala Harris stands on sanctuary cities right now. I'd love to ask her that today if she takes any questions. We'll find out later. But her running mate, Tim Walz, has advocated for pushing to have Minnesota become a sanctuary state in the past. So
you can delete somebody in Costa Rica and then flee to the United States and start a whole new life. If you're an American, you got a theft charge, you wrote some bad checks, or you know, let's say you deleted somebody, robbed a bank or something like that. You think they're gonna hire your ass? No, but oh man, if you from Honduras, Colombia, Venezuela, there's no background check. You need a background check to get a job as an American, as a taxpaying citizen. But if you from Guatemala, Venezuela, you could have sold drugs, could have raped somebody, killed somebody, it don't matter. They'll let you come over and they'll pay you free housing, free tuition, free food, free healthcare. Free childcare, like everything. Like, what the fuck? Why are we paying for people we don't even know who they are?
And as my opponent has proven himself, he would prefer to run on the problem instead of fix the problem. You may know there were some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress working with others that came up with a border security bill that would have put 1,500 more border agents at the border. Those border agents are overwhelmed. They need the support. They need the backup. It would have allowed us to have more resources to stem the flow of fentanyl. I don't need to tell this state and people around the country what is happening in terms of the scourge of fentanyl and how it is literally killing Americans. It would have put resources into stemming the flow. It would have given more resources to prosecute, to investigate and prosecute transnational criminal organizations. It would have done a lot of good.
Remember, the question was, how much money are you going to continue to pay for illegal immigrants?
Donald Trump got wind of the bill and told them, don't put it forward. He killed the bill because he'd prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. We have to have a secure border, and we have to have a comprehensive pathway for citizenship. And that includes requiring people, hardworking people, to earn citizenship and do it in a comprehensive, humane, and orderly manner.
She calls it broken because people aren't allowed to just show up and get free citizenship. That's why she's complaining. The bill that you're complaining about, oh, Trump blocked the bill had free amnesty for all the people that came through automatic citizenship. And it will still allow 5,000 people per day to come through the border. plus another $60 billion for Ukraine.
Ask you about that. I mean, you talk about the bill that Donald Trump quashed. That was in 2024. You talk about the bill he tried to get passed in 2021. That wasn't able to get passed. 2022, 2023, there were record border crossings. Your administration took hundreds of executive actions. It didn't stem the flow. Numbers kept going up. Finally, in 2024, just in June, 3 weeks before the first presidential debate with Joe Biden, you institute executive actions that had a dramatic impact, really shut down people crossing over. Why didn't your administration do that in 2022, 2023?
Thank you.
First of all, you're exactly right, Anderson. And as of today, we have cut the flow of immigration by over half. In fact, the numbers I saw most recently, illegal immigration
But if
is
it was
low.
that
But
easy
hold on,
with
let me
that
finish.
executive action, why not do it in 2022, 2023?
Because we were working with Congress and hoping that actually we could have a long-term fix to the problem instead of a short-term fix.
You couldn't have done one and both at the same time?
Well, here's the thing. We have to understand that ultimately this problem is going to be fixed through congressional action. Congress has the authority and the purse. I hate to use DC terms, but literally they write the checks. Part of the issue is in order to really fix the problem at the border. I was just at the border recently talking with border agents. You know what they talk about? Yes, they are overwhelmed.
First of all, the border agents actually endorsed Trump. They know you're full of shit.
America, I have a message for you. If we allow Borders R. Harris to win this election, every city, every community in this great country is going to go to hell. The untold millions of people, unvetted, who she has allowed into this country that are committing murders, rapes, robberies, burglaries, and every other crime will continue to put our country in peril. Only one man can fix that. That is Donald J. Trump.
We need more judges down there to deal with asylum claims.
She wants more judges down there so they can process these people faster and give them citizenship.
We need more personnel down there to deal with processing.
You mean to process them faster, to help them get into the country faster? Is that what you're saying?
But Anderson, and that's where Congress kicks in terms of dedicating the resources to actually fixing the problem.
See, it wasn't a problem under Trump. It's a problem to you because you want the border to stay open so you can allow all these immigrants to come in.
We now, as of today, as of our visit, have lower undocumented immigrants and illegal immigration than Trump when he left office.
See how she's lying? See how she's gaslighting? Oh, she lowered it more than Trump. No, you didn't. Yeah, you dropped the percentage down because you had it wide open at first. That's like someone robbing you every single day. Every time they see you, they pull out a gun and rob you. And then, like, hold on, man. I'm only robbing you once a week. I was robbing you every day.
That's true.
But we need a permanent solution, and that requires bipartisan work.
Do you wish you'd done those executive orders in 2022, 2023?
I think we did the right thing.
So allowing all these people in was the right thing. You did the stupid thing. So basically undoing everything that Trump did. Opening the border, allowing millions of people to come through undocumented, no background check was the right thing to do. Dude, you can't even buy alcohol without an ID. Some of these people could be murderers, rapists. We don't know. There's children. We have over 300,000 children. There's over 300,000 children that have come through the border that are missing. Nobody knows where they are. We don't know who they're with. We just allow people to just smuggle children in. You've enabled human trafficking. You've allowed rapists and murderers into the United States. And innocent people have died. Stores have been robbed. People have been kidnapped, raped, everything you can think of. Let's say you're wanted for a felony. Why would you go to court? You got an open opportunity to go to the United States and start a whole new life under a whole new name. That is stupid. We did the right thing. That's not the right thing. That's a stupid thing.
But the best thing that can happen for the American people is that we have bipartisan work happening, and I pledge to you that I will work across the aisle to fix this long-standing problem. I think the American people are demanding it on both sides of the aisle.
Nobody's demanding this bullshit. You're demanding it. We want the border closed like when Trump was in office. Migrants are still coming over. That's fine. They got to come through the legal way, the proper channels that they've always come through. You can't just leave the border open for everybody. The people are demanding. No, they're not. What American is asking for this shit? See, this is the problem when you're a first-generation American citizen and you want to be in power. Your loyalty is not to American people. Your loyalty is to the rest of the world. You want the open borders, so because you saw your mom and dad go through immigration, so you want like, hey, we should fix this. No. Americans, we don't need to fix none of that shit. You want to fix it. Of course, first generation migrant would want open borders. Oh, this is a problem. They should have let everybody in. No, that's stupid. No country just allows millions of people to just come through and put them all on welfare. Nobody does that.
And it's time we actually put the partisan approach to this aside. We know what can work.
Oh, yes, we know what can work. Trump can work. Trump, all these problems you're complaining about, all these issues that you caused, we didn't have that under Trump. We didn't have migration issues under Trump. But it's a problem to you because you just want open borders. All these problems that you're complaining about, Trump, I didn't hear Trump complaining about it. Trump just got shit done. He kept the border closed. If you wanted to come to the United States, you got to come through the legal channels like every other country. Try to go to Venezuela. See if you can just show up at their border. You'll go to jail.
Well, let's talk about this compromise bill that you want to pass if you're elected. You said that's going to be a priority. It includes $650 million in funding for the border wall. That's something Republicans wanted. That was part of the compromise. Under Donald Trump, you criticized the wall more than 50 times. You called it stupid, useless, and a medieval vanity project. Is a border wall stupid?
Well, let's talk about Donald Trump and that border wall. So remember, Donald Trump said Mexico would pay for it? Come on, they didn't. How much of that wall did he build? I think the last number I saw is about 2%. And then when it came time for him to do a photo op, you know where he did it? In the part of the wall that President Obama built.
But you're agreeing to a bill that would earmark $650 million to continue building that wall.
I pledge that I am going to bring forward that bipartisan bill to further strengthen and secure our border.
And she's using doublespeak. When people think about secure border, you're thinking the border's closed, we're not just going to allow a bunch of people through. But when she says secure the border, she's talking about allowing millions of people to still come through. She's talking about the bill that will allow 5,000 people to come through per day.
Focused on fixing
Six Democrats voted against that bill. It would have allowed 1.8 million illegal immigrants into the country a year. A lot of conservatives had a problem with it. These are the 6 Democrats. But more importantly, back to the original premise, Jocelyn Nungari, Rachel Morin, Laken Riley, they are young women who were brutally assaulted and killed by some of the men who were released at the beginning of the administration, well before a negotiated bipartisan bill. Former President Clinton actually referred to Laken Riley Sunday, campaigning for you in Georgia, saying if those men had been properly vetted, Laken Riley probably would not have been killed. So if it wouldn't have happened, this is well before any negotiation. This is well before Donald Trump got involved in the politics. This is a specific policy decision by your administration to release these men into the country. So what I'm saying to you, do you owe
Brett,
those families an apology?
Yes, I am. And I'm going to work across the aisle to pass a comprehensive bill that deals with a broken immigration system. I think Jackson's question...
And no, ma'am, his question was, how much are you going to spend on illegals? How are you going to help them integrate in society? And is there a limit?
Part of it was to acknowledge that America has always had migration, but there needs to be a legal process for it.
There's always been a legal process. That's why you have so many foreigners that were already in the United States, because they came through the legal way. We vetted them first. We knew who they were. We knew where they came from. We know their criminal history.
People have to earn it. And that's the point that I think is the most important point that can be made, which is we need a president who is grounded in common sense and practical outcomes. Like, let's just fix this thing. Let's just fix it.
It was fixed under Trump.
Why is there any ideological perspective on this? Let's just fix the problem.
To fix the problem, you're doing this compromise bill. It does call for $650 million that was earmarked under Trump to actually still go to build the wall.
I am not afraid of good ideas where they occur.
So you don't think it's stupid anymore?
I think what he did and how he did it did not make much sense, because he actually didn't do much of anything.
How did he not do anything? The border was closed under Trump. We didn't have these problems under Trump.
I just talked about that wall, right? We just talked about it. He didn't actually do much of anything.
But you do want to build some wall.
I want to strengthen our border.
It was so bad. Even CNN, even the other anchors on CNN, the most liberal network that I've ever seen, even they had to call her out on her bullshit.
Whether or not she achieved what she needed to achieve this evening. Dana Bash, your thoughts?
Well, I'll just tell you what I'm hearing from people who I have been talking to, and that is that if her goal was to close the deal, they're not sure she did that.
I think Republicans would take another hour of Kamala Harris. We'd just press play, let her keep going. We'd pay for another hour to let her keep not answering the questions. I think Anderson's asking her, well, why haven't you done it? You've been there for 4 years. Why have you done any of this? And the word salad answer she gave to that was just mind-boggling. I mean, it's blown up the internet, her answer to that question. I think the things that are troubling for people were her responses to, Van said about what's she going to do to reduce costs when they asked her at the beginning. We're hurting economically. She said, I'm going to prosecute corporations, right? That's not going to lower costs. Oh. How are you going to make things better for me? I'm going to prosecute people. Trump bad is not a message that's going to get her elected. Trump bad message. I disagree with you, Alyssa. There, I don't think it's going to happen.
You're referring to she kept bringing up the Hitler and Atlantic
you have to bring something else. Right? Was she for a wall or was she against a wall? I couldn't tell from her answer. Right? Anderson kept asking her, well, listen, you laughed at the wall, but now it's in your plan. Are you for it or against it? There was so much mishmash in there. I don't know what was going on. I think it's very generous to say that she showed up, right? I think the key, if she loses here in this race, people are going to look back and her team is going to say, we should have been doing this from the very get-go because reps make you better, right? And the more you do this, the better you get. She's still not at it. We're 13 days out from an election, and everyone's hoping she's going to get better. The Wall Street Journal just came out with a poll while this was going on. She's losing altitude rapidly. Rapidly.
That's it for today's video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.